Hi guys, I Aziz welcome you to CoedMaster. JavaScript Array.filter function is the most popular function used in JavaScript. And if you are looking to master filter function, then you have landed on the right video. In this video, I am going to talk about Array.filter function in JavaScript. We will learn how filter function works and how we can implement the filter function from scratch. So without wasting any time, let's get started. Alright guys, so here I have initialized a person array. In this array you can see a lot of elements, and all of these elements represents salaries of each person standing at a specific position. So for example, person standing at position 0 has a salary of $100, person standing at index 1 has salary of $200, so on and so forth. Next we have the context object. This context object represents the range by which we want to filter all of these person salaries. Okay, now let's move on and use the filter function of JavaScript. So here I am using the filter function of JavaScript to filter all the person whose salary is greater than $100. Okay, so here the filter function is accepting two arguments. Number one is the callback function and number two is the context. Okay, then it's gonna return the shallow copy of the person array, and we are storing the return array from the filter function in the result variable, and then we are simply logging the result on the console. Now let's run the program and then we will understand how this filter function actually works. Okay, let's run the program and you can see that we have filtered all the salaries whose range is greater than 100. So we have in total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 salaries, and out of 5 the salaries whose range is greater than 100 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 salaries in total. Okay, cool. Now we will understand that how this filter function actually works. So what filter function actually does? So filter function is used to filter the elements of the array which fails to pass the given test implemented as a function. Okay, so we can say that this function is a test function, and this function is going to return a boolean, whether it's a true or false. So the filter function is going to iterate over all the elements of array and call this callback function against each elements. If the callback function returns true, then it's gonna include the element in the result array, else it just exclude that element, and then in the last it's gonna simply return the result array. Yeah, that's it for the filter function. So I hope now you have a decent idea of how filter function actually works. Cool. Now let's take a step forward and implement the filter function from scratch. So let's see how we can do it. So let's write array.prototype.filter, and let's assign a function to this property. Now this function accepts two arguments. One is the callback function and second one is this argument. Wonderful. Now we are going to write this algorithm in 4 steps. Number 1 is we are going to validate the arguments. Then we will do some initialization. Number 3, we are gonna process the elements, and then number 4, we are going to return the filtered array. Okay, return filtered array. Great. So let's start with the first step. So first we are going to validate the call function and this argument. So we can write if callback function is equal to null, or callback function is equal to undefined. In this case we are going to throw an error. So let's throw it by using the throw keyword and then use new reference error by saying that callback function must be defined. Cool. Now let's do same with this argument. So if we got the valid this argument, then it's okay, otherwise we will pass null as this argument. Cool. Now we need to initialize something. So first we need the array on which we are going to loop over. So for that we need one variable to store the array. So here this is representing the person array, so which is why we are storing the value of this in array variable. Cool. Then we need one more variable to store the filtered elements. Okay, so we can call it filtered array and assign it a empty array for now. And then let's move on to the third step. And third step is to process the elements. So to process the element we have to use the for loop. Okay, so let's initialize one variable with the name index. Initialize it with the 0. It will work till array.length less than array.length, and then we are going to increment the index by 1. Cool. So our for loop is ready. Okay, actually we can also validate one more thing over here, which is a element, because sometimes people or users use the filter function on sparse array. So we should also handle the sparse array in this algorithm. So if you don't know sparse array, let me explain you a bit. So here in this array you can see there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 elements, but all the elements are valid elements. There are no empty slots. What if I put an empty slot over here? Then this element is an empty slot. Okay, so we should also handle this type of edge cases. So for this we can simply check if index in array. If this index is valid and there is a value at this index, then it's okay. Otherwise we can simply continue to next iteration. Cool. After that we need to get the element at a specific index. So for this we can use array and square bracket notation by passing it an index, and it will give us a element at a particular index. Then now we have the element. Now it's time to invoke our callback function. So we can say callback.call, give it a value of this argument or this identifier, which is a this argument, and 3 arguments more, which is a element, index and array. So element we have already find from this syntax, then the index we get from the for loop, and the array itself. Great. And this function is going to give us a boolean, so we can store in a variable with the name should include. Okay, so this variable stores the boolean value which will be returned by the callback function. Now we can check if the should include variable holds truthy value or not. If it is true, then we can push the current element in the filtered array which we have declared over here. Okay, and then we can simply return the filtered array, and this is going to be our 4th step. Okay, let's format the code, and now let's verify the algorithm once again. So we start with the function. This function is going to take 2 arguments, callback function and this argument. Then we are validating the arguments, we are validating this argument, then we are initializing 2 variables to hold the array and the filtered array. Then we are processing all the elements by using for loop. Then we are checking the blank spots. If we find the blank spot, then we can simply continue. Then we are extracting the element from this array by using index. Then we are invoking callback function, and this function is going to return the boolean. We are storing the boolean in should include variable. Then we are checking if should include is a truthy value. If it is truthy, then we can simply push the element in the filtered array over here. And then in the last 4th step, we are simply returning the filtered array. So far so great. I hope this works fine. So here we are using our custom filter function instead of the built-in filter. So here we are passing the callback function, and here we are passing the context, and this context is this object, which is why we are able to use this to access the range property, and we are filtering all the elements whose value is greater than 100, and you get the result as 200, 300, 400, 500, 600. Looks good. What if we want to filter all the elements whose range is greater than 300? So we can simply update the context with the value 300. Let's save the file, and you can see that now we have only 3 elements coming over here. These are greater than 300, right? So I hope now you have pretty good understanding of how filter function actually works and how to implement filter function from scratch. So this is pretty much all about filter function in JavaScript. Alright guys, this is all from my side for this video. If you learned something valuable from this video, then please hit the like button in order to make YouTube algorithm happy. Please subscribe to this channel and don't forget to click the bell icon so my friend you never miss any upcoming videos. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.